Let me just accept it.
Okay.
I got it.
What's going on, Legion of Boom? I've got a really great guest today. The one, the only, live from England, Mr. Andy Kovacs. What's going on,
hello.
How are you doing? Good to see
I'm
you.
good, my friend. I'm very good. It's been a wee while, right? How are you doing? You're looking well.
Yeah. For those of you who do not know Andy, can you quickly introduce yourself? Who are you? What do you do? And who do you serve?
Yeah, sure thing. So I'm Andy. I'm the communication guy, basically. You could call me that. So I've been in the corporate communication training business for the last 25 years. We serve corporate clients, leadership communication, internal auditors, assurance communication. So risk managers, internal auditors, compliance managers, this sort of thing. Speak in a way that makes people want to listen, write in a way that makes people want to write. That's me, basically.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So for people out there, again, if you haven't followed me for any length of time, or Andy, he's been on a podcast. We've been on a podcast together.
Yeah, we have
chatted offline many
times.
So he's a good friend of mine. And I have to say, and this is a great way to start up the show, it's been really difficult to grab him and say, what's going on here? He's been super busy. And
that's been bonkers, yeah.
Yeah. And what I want to tackle here is you can be successful and busy without getting clients from LinkedIn itself.
Yes.
And so I do want to open that door a little bit there because I'm guilty of it too. I mean, my business model depends on LinkedIn and other platforms. But there are other coaches out there that are LinkedIn only. And
that's right.
Thank God I'm not. LinkedIn definitely one of the levers that I pull to help clients get leads. But for 90% of the coaches on content out there, LinkedIn or nothing. I'm like, geez, there's lots of ways to get clients. Not all of them are right for you. So let's dial back a little bit. You've been super busy lately, like lots of
that's right.
Lots of clients, putting the suit back on, going in-person meeting. What's changed? Just, I would say probably January of 2022 to this point.
Yeah.
So what's been happening on the back end?
Yeah, I think for us, so basically it's more face-to-face again now. So you need people started to go back to the office in earnest, really, in the first quarter of this year. So some people around January, February, March, around that time, people are generally working from there now. I think, therefore, you need to be doing your cold outreach again. This was sort of hampered in some way, I think, with the pandemic. People were sitting at home. And one of the things I would say about it as well is, you know, what did work look like when people were working from Zoom? It was basically one Zoom meeting after the other. Everything's agenda driven. Everything is sort of purpose orientated. So it's just like getting slapped time after time. So people didn't have any time for anything else, for mailing, for calls. I think now that people are back, we started to do our cold outreach again. And it's just, it can be reminding people of who you are. I mean, our business now has been running for 20 years. So we get a lot of referral. You have to ask for referral.
Talk about those two things. So let's go granular. Yeah. What do you mean asking for referrals? If I were to ask you, Andy, I need help. Can you get me a referral? That's a terrible way to go about it. Or is that what you would recommend?
No. I think it's basically whenever you got to be busy with testimonials. Like after you've finished some kind of training, after it's gone well, testimonials, case studies, stuff like that. You need to use that commitment consistency with your existing clients. So when it's gone very well, when you've had a win, then you would say to them, you know, can we use this? Can we use this as a testimonial? Can we use you as a reference? Get that buy-in from them. And then sort of stick with it. Ask them if, you know, because ultimately people within the same sort of profession, like auditors, risk managers, whatever, they know other people in that profession. So you've got to go ask for it, really. Do you know anyone who could help with this and things like that? But it's like everybody talks about sales and cold outreach as if it's something awful. but you've got to do it with a certain amount of charisma, right? You've got to do it right. If you do it in a really shit way, then obviously it's really awful.
Are you cold calling or you cold emailing about?
We do lots of things. So one of the things that we do is we use post, like traditional snail mail post. So especially now that people are back in offices, we use post.
I don't know if people heard that right. They're going back. Email and using the post office. They're millions
exactly.
People. Cold outreach. Okay, it's been years since I've heard of that.
All right. So what you need to do, there's lots of things that you can do. So whenever you're sending anything in the post, it's such a novelty, like the novelty aspect of it's there, right? So it's going to get opened.
Now it is.
Now it is, yeah. I mean, like 20 years ago, forget about it. But now the novelty aspect's there, right? So it's like, what can you do with this? There's several things. It's like what we do. So we have a series of greeting cards, like literally cards, like birthday card type cards. And they're all related to sort of like, so our client base ultimately would be directors, corporate directors, C-suite people, things like that. So it's all Gen X people in their sort of mid-40s, mid-50s, that sort of age range, right? So we created a range of cards which are based on sort of 80s movies like The Karate Kid, Jaws, whatnot, things like that. So you send the card with a nice graphic image on it. Like obviously you create an artistic image of it, right? And then inside you've got the message. You'll have some sort of message about leadership, so for us, it would be leadership communication. It would be something about assertiveness or influencing or something like that. Put a little message, sign it, put your number, and you just send the card.
So this is a postcard. What's a letter?
It's like a greeting card, like a sort of hallmark card.
Okay. Sort of like a hallmark card.
Yeah, exactly. So they get that in the envelope, they open it up, read it. They can, why do you use a hallmark card instead of a postcard? So we tested this with our clients, because basically then people can stand it up on their desk and they can look at it. So you've got to have a cool image. So you got to go for something cool, right? And it's just something that people don't expect. So they open it, you handwrite it with the address. People don't know what it is, though. So the curiosity gets the better of it. They handwrite it. And then you'll sort of, you'll do that on a monthly basis, like once a month, we'll send it out. It's got the contact details on the back. And then when you follow up, when you mail, when you call, it's not cold because they know exactly who you are. There's all sorts of things you can do. Like we used to get, years ago, we used to get, you can get those sort of combination boxes, like lunch boxes, like a little plastic Perspex box with a combination. We used to get those. Yeah, we used to get those. We used to fill them full of sweets.
But this is just a classic example of marketing. This is, you're calling it sales, but it's marketing. Because
I'm calling it cold sales, but I suppose
because I'm trying to find words, proper words. The fact that we thought about Gen X, and maybe somebody older than Gen X, and makes me realize that I don't think my own kids have ever written a card before. If somebody gives them a gift, they text them, "Hey, Grandpa, thanks." They don't write a thank you card. Mail. I don't think they've ever walked in the mailbox before. But Gen X and older, and there's a nostalgic factor to this, right?
The nostalgia factor. It also shows that whoever's sending this is somebody like them. So it's on a subconscious level, it's creating similarity. So it's a very strong one, but obviously it's stone cold. But after you've received something like that, it's not cold anymore because everybody remembers it. So we used to put sweets in those, packets of sweets in those plastic combination locks with we used to put a note and send it to people and say, if you want the combination, give us a call.
That's awesome. So
people are
for the audience who are thinking about using this type of strategy, what are some no-nos when it comes to this sort of outreach?
I mean, I think you've got to create something cool. It's got to be absolutely right for the person you're sending it to. So you can do some, like LinkedIn's useful. You can look at people's profiles. You can get some sort of indication of so how old are they? How do you know this? When did they finish university or school or whatever? You can get that indication. Obviously, it requires a little bit of investment. You need to buy stamps and cards and whatnot. We print those ourselves, right? So we make specific ones for us, bespoke ones. So you got that, but I think the key thing really is you got to create the type of thing that you would want to put on your own desk. It's got to look really cool and nice, because otherwise it just goes in the bin. It's got to look good. It shouldn't be some sort of advert or some picture of you or picture of your company. This is why we go for films. It could be comic book characters. It could be whatever you want, but it needs to be whatever it is on the front, whatever the film is, needs to be related inside the card with the message, which is the point where you could talk about the pain point, the problem, you can talk about your solution, you know, but very, very brief. It's got to be so easy. It's just got to be something fun.
Do you research the person you're writing to before you write to them? Do you go on LinkedIn and look at their profile?
Oh, yeah.
Or what kind of information do you use to make that something a little bit more effective?
So we would target specifically this sort of outreach would be the attempt of it would be to get a meeting, face-to-face meeting in the office. So because we're London based, we would choose London based people or people like in the Southeast or people around our area. So we're specifically charging C-suite or director level. So we'd look at L&D directors, we'd look at audit directors, risk compliance directors, something like that. So that's the key point. And I think obviously you're kind of, see again, this is the point, right? If you know your target, if you know your buyer well enough, then you should know enough about them, right? You should know what sort of films, TV shows did they watch when they were growing up? What did they think was cool? What type of music are they listening to? You should know this, so you need to use those elements.
What about first conversation we've ever had? What about that, right? How important it is to absolutely know your buyer from film to music to
everything, yeah.
TV shows they grew up with, right? Remember that conversation? And it's so refreshing to hear somebody use that. Maybe it wasn't my conversation. I think you already knew it. But using that for a unique way of getting clients.
Well, it kind of brings it back. So I was sort of like, there's several things you can do. I mean, you need to, so for me, the graphic element's important, but there's several things you could do. Like if you're an artist yourself, if you can create some sort of art yourself, then you can use that. But you want to sort of reproduce it, like don't start sending originals because it's going to take too long, because ultimately what you've got to do, you've got to make your list. You've got to hit the list for a few months. If it doesn't work, then forget it. Then you're going to send them one, like we've got one at the end of the sequence, which is like basically two people walking away from each other. And it's just like, well, so this is goodbye then, you know. I'm going to stop sending you these funny cards now, you know. So you've got to sort of find some way to make it work. But it is really ultimately, everything's about understanding the person that you're talking to, because nobody gives a shit about you. That's a fact, right? They care about themselves. So that's what you're targeting. That's what you're going for, right?
Yeah, that's, when you say that, that's not a copywriting thing, that's not a marketing sales thing. That's a human thing. That's where you come in. Communication and communicating effectively, whether you use cold outreach or you're using LinkedIn or you're giving a presentation or you're having a management meeting, it all distills back into nobody gives a shit about you.
Nobody cares, yeah.
I think that helps every form of communication you have.
Absolutely. It's like, again, so to talk about cold outreach, what you can do, like for around 20 years now, I've been speaking at conferences, L&D conferences, HR conferences, marketing, sales conferences, digital conferences. I used to speak at in the past, in the early days of social media, audit, risk, compliance, this sort of thing, right? So people always say, how'd you get invited to these things? You don't, you invite yourself. That's how it works, right? You've got to find these events. So you always have local ones. Say, for example, internal auditors. They got their local branch events or state events, like in America, right? And then they got the internet, you know, they got the national ones, the big ones, right, or the continental ones. So you need to find the organizers. You need to get in touch with them. You need to start building relationships, and you need to start sending an abstract and a bio. You just need to send it a lot. You need to work on it, right? So eventually somebody will drop out, or there'll be some sort, and they'll invite you along, and then this will be your chance. So what do you do at that moment? But the big mistake people make again is that they stand on the stage and they talk about themselves. Oh, we do this, we're the best at that. Nobody cares, man. It's like dreadful. So you've got to just go in and you've got to say to yourself, well, this audience here, what's the shit that keeps them awake at night? What disturbs them? What stops them from sleeping? Solve that. That's it. Solve one thing like that with your presentation. That's it. Then at the end of it, you say, oh, I've made a toolkit on this. Do you want the note slides? Hands up. If it's face to face, all the hands go up. So you've got the social proof. And then you put your email and you say, all right, so mail me. Do it now. Whatever the organizer, put as a subject, I love IIA. If you don't put I love IIA, I'm not sending it. So the organizers don't get pissed off. And then you get a whole load of, you end up with like, I don't know, 250 emails.
You know, so I've been in this little career of mine for almost 11 years now. The first 6 years were Twitter.
Yeah.
There was a gap year between Twitter and LinkedIn. Well, yeah. I just went cold email, right?
Yeah,
and at the beginning of it, I would buy templates. You know, I would buy scripts, and they would bomb horribly. And it would took me a long time to figure out what the formula is, really. And for those of you listening, for me, when I did my cold outreach, I was able to get clients. The drawback is it's a numbers game. So if you're able to get, I don't know, 100 emails, if you get 10 to respond to you, that's a good day.
That's phenomenal.
If you can get 10 of those 10, if you can get 2 to get on the sales call, that's a great week, right? Keep in mind, that's a week. So just for everybody out there, because you fit nicely into, nobody gives a shit about you, right? And right away, my email at the end of my 2-year journey with just cold email outreach was, I got rid of all preamble. How you doing? Hope this finds you well. No. Hey, Bob, I help companies. You know, I have a specific pain point that I know you're experiencing right now. Why? Because for me personally, obviously, copy is very visual. I can tell if your blog stops, if your email stops, if your post stops. So I can pick something and say, hey, Bob, I saw this email from you the other day. Ooh, I've helped clients just like you. Insert proof. I will show proof of a client just like you who I helped. And I'm sure the results they got. Bob, if you're interested in taking your email sequence and making it look like Mary's, here's my, just hit reply back and we'll start a conversation. That is much more effective than going into, hey, Bob, how's your wife doing? You know, it's so raining out there, man. I'm so passionate about what I do. I love helping people.
Nobody cares, right?
Dude, delete. So you've got to get quick to the problem, quickly as possible. Reinforce that with actual proof that you can do that. Deliver your unique offer quickly and get the hell off before they delete. Same thing at a conference, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, the conference is the only thing that you should be doing on that stage is solving their problem. And I mean, ultimately, if it's any conference of note, you shouldn't even be introducing yourself at all. You shouldn't be talking about yourself at all because somebody should introduce you, like literally. But if for some reason, it happens from time to time, they'll say, "Oh, can you introduce yourself like you're on the stage?" So what I would recommend. So if I'm say an auditor's event, and I've got to introduce myself, it won't be the first word that comes out of my mouth. It won't be, "Oh, hello, my name's Andy," because everybody's got the phone in their hand. So I'll start with some sort of. The first thing will be their problem, and I'll state that as a question. But you can't be on the nose. You can't go straight at it. You got to start telling them some sort of story. It might be a story about your childhood. It might be a story, hey, have you ever seen this film or whatever? And they're thinking, what the hell, man? Why is this guy talking about this film? What's he on about? I don't understand. I've come here to learn about audit report writing. What? The Karate Kid? Mr. Miyagi? What is this crap, right? The only way for you to find out what the connection is to the topic is to listen. You have to listen. That's it. So in the first minute, you got to make them want to listen. That's it. At the end of it, you come to the point, you come to the problem, you state that as a question. So why doesn't anyone read audit reports? That's when I would introduce myself if I have to. So how I would do it is like this. Everybody makes a mistake of trying to gas up their own authority, right? But what I would recommend you do instead, I do it like this. I'd say, if it's for auditors, I'd say, my name's Andy. I'm not an auditor. I can't audit. I can't do what you guys do. You guys, qualified guys, they wouldn't give me this job if I wanted to. So why should you listen to me then? Because I'm the communication guy. I've been teaching, training, audit report writing for 20 years. These are the companies I work with. Doing it like this is what's often called in sales a stealth benefit. So before you give the main advantage, your main benefit, give a smaller related disadvantage, like I'm not an auditor, I can't do what you can do. Because what happens then in the listener's mind, it creates a state of sympathy. So instead of that cognitive mindset when they're thinking, oh, you aren't, you, is it really, or what a big head, they're thinking, oh, what a shame. You know what I mean? So I'd sort of hit it like that.
It sounds to me that the same thing with writing content for social media, same thing with introducing yourself to a room for strangers. I use a different vocabulary term for it, pattern interrupt. Now, everybody has a program they're operating on, and they expect everybody to sort of follow that pattern. And if you
you got a short circuit.
Your mind just goes into autopilot. They'll start picking up the phone, or they'll do something else because you're already on script. So the best way to get off script is to interrupt the pattern. And one of you, I heard two of them from you just now, which was ask a question, right away. Ask a question or validate the experience right away. I'm not the expert here. You guys are amazing. Auditors, I couldn't do what you guys do.
I can't do it, exactly.
They're kind of expecting you to come in and go, this is what I do. I will whip you into shape. If you did that, they go into autopilot. And I think
exactly.
Communication here is so critical, not just for social media, but for leading meetings with perfect strangers.
This is also, it's like the whole pattern interrupt is really what I'm doing a lot with GIFing. So I drop a lot of GIFs on LinkedIn. And
what you knew, I don't want to call it avatar. It's a persona.
It is.
The gentleman gifter. I mean,
the gentleman gifter.
What? It's just every time you do it, I get a chuckle.
If you're watching this, do not follow the gentleman gifter. Like, report and ban the gentleman gifter. Like, don't do it.
See what we did that. The fact that we said don't
follow it. But seriously, no.
And then you end up doing it. But all pattern interrupt, because most people are saying, follow the gentleman gifter. Don't do it today. And your mind's like, nah. You're just promoting it.
This is a whole thing, right? So what is the gentleman gifter ultimately, right? So I'll put it like this, right? Why do you use social media? Because you're trying to build some sort of network. You're trying to build some sort of community, right? That's the first point. You can't go on there and drop some advert type post. Here's what I'm selling. And then expect to be counting money at the end of the day. It just doesn't work like that, right? So ultimately, it seems to me, I mean, obviously you're the expert on this, but you need to build that network of engaged followers. What for? So that your potential targets are seeing your posts because there's engagement on your post. So for example, the type of people I'm targeting on LinkedIn are not frequent LinkedIn users. They would use LinkedIn, they log on maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks, to see what's going on, what's their company doing, what's their network doing, what's in the feed. Those people say to me, every time I get WhatsApp messages, mails, all sorts, they say to me, Andy, every time I log on to LinkedIn, once a week, every 2 weeks, your post is the first post that I see, every time. Why? Because I'm the most active person in that person's network. I'm the most active content creator. That's why.
Internal auditors and such, I can imagine.
Oh, internal auditors, leaders, L&D directors, you name it. Because they don't use LinkedIn as a social network. Like salespeople, marketers, you name it. HR, they basically use it as a kind of CV service, but they check it every couple of weeks, maybe once a week, maybe once a month. And every time they tell me I'm the first. Why I'm the first? Because I'm the most active person in their network. Like my followers, I've never checked it, but I would imagine if I just, it's more than Pareto principle. I'd say probably 90% of my followers are corporate employees, managers to C-suite who just don't use it as a social network. They use it as a CV tool. So what does that mean then? It means that the people that I'm engaging with are not my, if you like, target clients at all. But that doesn't matter. What I need to do is build community with those guys by working on it, by commenting on their posts, doing something to build a relationship with them, so that that's reciprocated. So I get that back. Therefore, my post is seen. And the gentleman gift is something like that, right? It's just something like that. It's like you see all these sort of things on LinkedIn tips. You should comment like that. You should post like that. You should tell stories. You need to be a storyteller. This will get you engagement. You know what gets you engagement? Doing something good for other people. That's what gets you engagement.
Yes.
And that's it. And the gentleman giver is just this. It's like the old Dale Carnegie thing, like the most important sound to anyone in any language is the sound of their own name. So find a GIF related to their content, their point that they made, put their name on, put their point, put a quote from their post, something like that. People go bonkers for it because it's all about them. That's what people want.
What's the name of that book that Dale wrote? How to win friends and influence people.
Win friends and influence people, exactly.
How many times have you read that book?
Oh, I don't know, loads. I first read that book, I'll tell you. I was quite a sort of, I don't want to say naughty, but I was quite a cheeky kid. I used to like to make jokes and stuff like that when I was at school. And if you went to high school in Northwest England in the 80s and 90s, which I did, it was incredibly strict, right? So you couldn't really get away with much. And I was in a French lesson one day. I was about 13, 14. I cracked some joke. French teacher says to me, "Oh yeah, there's a book you should read, Kovacs. It's called How to Win Friends and Influence People." And everybody laughed because the point was, you haven't got any friends and you're not influential. This was sort of, but I was the kid who would then go and get that book and read it. And I think I was about maybe 14 when I first read that book. And it was that line, the most important sound to anyone in any language is the sound of their own name. That's right. Learn people's names, use people's names. It's, I don't know, maybe I've read it 6, 7 times. I don't know.
That book is my, what do I call it? Community Bible.
Yeah.
Everything I do
wonderful.
On LinkedIn and my Slack channel, offline, it's from that book. No, granted, I don't follow that book like a Bible fanatic, but
it becomes second nature, right?
Book is inside of me.
Yeah, it gets celtic, right? It becomes second nature.
And you'll get the sale at some point if they're the right buyer. But that's when I first, let me be honest, when I first read that book, I'm like, so you're asking me to kiss everybody's ass. And if I kissed enough asses, I'll make enough money. No. I threw the book,
Yeah.
Then later down the line, a friend of mine was like, "You should read this book." Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, "What's it called?" "Oh, no, I'm not gonna have people bend over and let me kiss their ass. I know, I'm a serious guy." No. You can still be Doug. It's just that you have to understand, it's not about you.
Yeah, it's not about you.
And then once he said that, I'm like, that makes sense. So I read the book again. This was probably 6 years ago. When I really incorporated the lesson, my business changed. Because before that, I was an aggressive sort of a-hole, online, really rapid fire. It changed into the point where I'm going to support other people.
Exactly.
I do not go into other people's content and disagree with them. I go, "Hey man, great post. Very cool. Keep it up, dude." Boom.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly the same thing with the gentleman. This is why it's the gentleman giver, because ultimately the whole purpose is to use the GIF format to just boost people and lift people. The only exception to that is when I, so this is quite funny because there's people who don't know that the gentleman GIF is me, because they didn't see the sort of genesis of the whole thing, like from before the gentleman GIF. So I first created the logo and minted the NFT logo, which is
the one behind
this
you.
one here. Yeah, this one. I minted it, I think, in mid-December. And I started putting it on all of my GIFs. And then I took your advice. So people don't know this either. People like, you saved me literally. You, like, if you like the gentleman GIFer, then you need to thank Doug, literally, because Doug saved the gentleman GIFer. And people don't know this, but he literally saved it. So this was around, in January, I wasn't around much. I was so busy. So I came back February and I started GIFing and everything posting. And within the course, I think it was over 24 hours. So people in the UK, people in the States, because of the time difference, I got like 6 comments and DMs from people I don't even know saying to me, Andy, I don't know what this communication business is that you do, but you should stop doing it and just do GIFing. And I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. So in an attempt to market my 20-year-old communication business, I've gone and taken a massive crap on it. So I was so upset. So I literally deleted everything. I deleted all the folders, all the templates, everything. I deleted a lot. It was in the recycle bin. And I was about to hit empty, permanently empty the recycle bin. I literally had my finger over the mouse. And I thought, just before I do this, I need some solid advice from the only person I really trust to give me solid advice, which was you. So I went to you and said, Doug, I don't know what to do. I'm thinking of just dropping this. And you said, don't do it, because it's like something that you can do, something that people like. People try to find that thing that creates that community that's distinctive, that what you see it in the feed. And I know that's Andy doing that. So you basically saved the gentleman GIFer. But then I'm not going to go into this strategy, because like you guys are probably sitting watching this thinking, oh yeah, Doug the copywriting guy, Doug the LinkedIn coach. You haven't got a clue, mate. You haven't got a clue. You don't even know what this guy is. This guy, when it comes to this game, the strategy is second to none. Absolutely unparalleled when it comes to the strategy. And when it comes to the copy, look, a lot of the so-called copywriters that you see in LinkedIn, they don't do it as a full-time job. They don't earn it's like there's what do they call that bullshit? Side hustle. They work somewhere else. That's where they earn their living. This guy for years has just been doing that. So you don't even know, honestly. And it's like, you think that you get value off this guy, but you don't know. You don't even know a quarter of it, because if you're in his Slack group, if you're in his Boom group, if you know his system, how ingenious his system is. I mean, it radically changed my social media, like what you do. If you know that, then you'll see something completely different. So I won't go into the strategy that you gave me, because I know this is your master strategy. But it was really about, once I separated, one of the first things that you said was to make a separation between me and the gentleman GIFer, which I did. I opened a page like that. So there were several other parts in play. It's not as simple as that. But the strategy I've been following, this has been, honestly, man, it's ingenious. What you gave me there is ingenious, because it's like, people don't know I'm the gentleman GIFer. They genuinely don't know. So I get these. So the only person that the gentleman GIFer rags on is me. Like, so he comes in my post and he's like taking the piss out of me and calling me a, Nescafe swilling swine.
It's like an alter ego sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Yeah. So I get DMs from people and they're like, oh, are you all right, mate? Who's this? Why is he? How does he know when you're posting? You're not on creator mode. Has he got a notification? How does he know? Is he stalking you? Are you getting bullied? It's hilarious, man.
He's one of the greatest creation I've ever seen on LinkedIn. LinkedIn fundamentally as a platform.
A lot of it's down to you, right? Yeah, no, it's not.
He's the literal tying it back in to where we started with this conversation. He is the literal manifestation of a pattern interrupt. Because
Yeah,
you don't
exactly.
expect him showing up in your feed like that, or showing up in the comment section like that, talking the way he does, using certain images the way he does, walking that line between debauchery and cleverness. It's just a thing of beauty, and it's a thing of beauty. I'm glad he's around.
I was on a Zoom with somebody the other day, and they made this point. They were like, I don't know the person very well. It's a new connection, right? And she was saying, do you know that gentleman Gifford? He's always on your posts. And I was like, yeah, I know. I know him, right? And she says, oh, he's brilliant.
That's like an Andy Kaufman, Andy Kaufman sort of.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's that type of thing, isn't it? What was his Tony something? He had some character, didn't he? He's a short. And she was saying,
Tony Clifton. Like,
Tony Clifton, that is it. Tony Clifton. I love that guy.
Is Tony Clifton.
Tony Clifton. He's Tony Clifton. Yeah,
that's exactly what you created.
He's like a sort of interbred, upper class Downton Abbey type. He's the one in Downton Abbey that they lock in the cellar. He's that, the British Tony, Anthony Cliffdale or something, right? So basically she was saying, oh, he made me my first GIF. I was so excited. I was showing my colleagues at work on my phone, and I was showing my husband, and they were like, who is this? What is this? Oh, it's a guy called the Gentleman Giffer. He's like a real big deal he's like a big deal on LinkedIn. He's made me a GIF like this. And I said to her, it's me, don't you? And she got so disappointed. Face dropped.
That's the thing. When people kind of hint it, this had nothing to do with marketing, by the way. But I remember reading about it when people were trying to figure out who is Tony Clifton. And what they really wanted was the thrill of the misery. Is it Andy? No, it's not Andy. It's sort of like Jimmy Hoffa. Where's Jimmy Hoffa buried? Who killed Jimmy Hoffa? They don't really want to know. If they found out who really did it,
it ruins it.
Sort of aura, right? You organically created a micro aura that created a little bit of banter and misery. So it's out of the bag, but there's still people who never watch this show.
Here's how I'm going to put it back in the bag, though, because I'm planning to, and I'm already working on this, bring in other people to be gentleman giffers. So nobody's going to believe that it's not me, but if it's not just me, so who did that one?
Ooh.
Do you know what I mean? So I got this sort of there used to be a TV show called The Prisoner, and it was in 1960s. Brilliant, Patrick McGowan. They're all in this village, and they don't have names. They got numbers like number one, number two. Number one is like the leader. So number one would be the gentleman giffer himself, and you never really know who's doing what. So you'd have number two, number three, etc. So I want to be in a position where I literally don't know who made that one. Where somebody's saying, oh, this one's out of order, man. This is really offensive. And I was like, yeah, but it could be seven.
That would be a LinkedIn phenomenon.
I'm thinking about that. Yeah. So how I would do it. So I just need to make people admins on the Gentleman Giffer page. But obviously that's too obvious. So some of them would actually be giffing. They'd have the NFT logos, etc. And some of them would, I'd just have a load of red herrings. So you got no idea who's doing what. And some people do it and some people don't. There'd be a manifesto, and the manifesto would be something like this, like you can only ever rag on yourself. You can't ever rag on anyone else. If you want to say, somebody upsets you, you don't use the Gentleman Giffer for that. The Gentleman Giffer is just lifting people, but you can use it to rag on yourself if you want to. And you can use it to rag on other Gentleman Giffers. So they could use it to rag on me or the other ones. Yeah, maybe they don't even know who it is.
Into what we were just talking about. I love it. We're like peeling an onion here. We go back to the main peel, what I said, how to win friends and influence people. I no longer, for over 5 years, go on anyone's post and rag on them.
Oh, no, yeah, me too.
I never troll people who disagree with me in the comments. Generally speaking, hey, good for you, man.
Yeah.
Hey, it works for you. What do I know? No, there are some people who are trying to, get a rise out of me. You know, they might get it back, but generally speaking, I don't believe in going in on other people's posts and smashing them to pieces. What good is that? What's the point of doing that?
I agree with that. And it's also like, you know, the other thing is this. I mean, this is one of your master strokes when it comes to copywriting, one of your many tools, which have honestly, so like the coaching I had from Doug absolutely transformed my social media effect. Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Andy. I appreciate that.
No, I mean, genuinely, it's hard to really put in words how much effect it had. But the most important thing, one of the most important things was that in order to define who you are, you have to define who you're not. So that means in the body of your own post, if there's something you don't like, or if there's somebody, you know, so when I say somebody, what does that mean? I mean, I've had posts criticizing John C. Maxwell. So you may say, oh, you know, why are you doing that? Well, at the end of the day, the guy's got 20 million followers. He's a big boy. He can handle it, right?
He's a punching up.
Absolutely, or Simon Sinek or whatever. So I wouldn't go for anyone who's not like, you know, guru level, like in the millions. I wouldn't go for anyone like that. But from time to time, I'll see something that I don't like because I think it's wrong, and I'll call it out. And what's also interesting about that is whenever I do that, the people in question, instead of sort of trying to debate the post on its own terms or on its own merits, or to take on the argument, they always go ad hominem and they say, oh, why are you doing that? Or what's wrong with you? Or why you haven't, I've got kids to feed. And it's like, yeah, me too. So if you think it's wrong, if you think the thesis of the post is wrong, have a go at it. Feel free. That's why we're here. We're here to talk in the comments. But it's like, I had to go at the, what is it? I wasn't really having a go at, it wasn't anyone in particular, but there was a point where I kept seeing post after post after post. It's just maybe related to who I follow, advocating the merits of creating a signature story for your business. Like, you have to have a signature story. And it's like, this has suddenly become some sort of magic bullet, magic wand. If you've got this signature story.
Let me ask you something. You paid me. You bought my service. We're beyond that. We're good, fine now. But
absolutely.
What's my signature story, Andy?
I haven't got a clue, mate. I don't know. And that's the point. This was the point that I made. It's like what I did with that post. I created a signature story, a little video, and put it in the post. And it was like a minute and a half of me explaining why I do what I do, which was my genuine, if you like, a genuine signature story. The point was that there isn't any such thing as a signature story, because there's thousands of little stories that lead you to be what you are. That's the first thing. The second point is, after 20 years of running my own business, how many times have I gone to a sales meeting with a prospect? And I'm selling like high ticket, bespoke communication programs for leaders, auditors,
very expensive,
very high ticket. Yeah, very high ticket. How many times have I gone into one of those meetings and told a signature story? Zero. And the third point was this. It's like, I use Doug's services as a coach. Like, as somebody who works in training and education, I buy a lot of training, coaching, education for myself and the people who work with me from time to time, right? Because it's like this. I want to be, you can pay for me as your coach, but you can also know this. I've invested more in my own education than you ever will. And that's true of any one of my clients, right? Any one of them. We're talking corporate directors. So in this sense, it's like, so somebody I met from LinkedIn, like somebody like for example, yourself, I've got no clue what your signature story is, and it doesn't matter. I mean, now that we become friends, we get to know each other. But if you said to me, what's Doug's story? I don't know. I don't know the story behind why you do what you do.
It's not important.
Yeah. So my point with that post was just this. You're going to spend like $1,000 or more getting somebody to coach you to have this kind of signature story. So what do you expect to get from it from the end? So you post it. You may get some engagement on the post, or you may not. Are you going to keep posting it? Where does it end? The other point is this. It's like such a simple thing to do. So why do you need somebody to show you? Just do it. Believe in yourself, value your own experience, and start telling stories about yourself if you like. But if you want to make those stories relevant, those stories need to create empathy with your audience, because again, as we've been saying all along, the only thing anyone cares about is themselves. Not you, not your story, not why you do what you do. They want to see themselves in you. That's it. It's all Carnegie again, right?
What brings me to privately, personally, I'll take the blame for that.
Yeah.
I have a beef with people. I'm not going to name names. I don't want to do that. But on the whole, I have problems with people calling themselves story coaches and using that as a way to drive business. Meaning, you've been a 20-year veteran in your own business. I'm half of that. My story or any series of story does not drive sales on a consistent basis. It's a tool that you could use as some part of your strategy. It is not the strategy. Right?
It's literally a tool.
I want to build a house. But I have a course on how to use a hammer. Great. But that's not going to build your house. You still need to work the glue gun. You need to learn how to use the cement truck. You've got you got to measure properly. You've got to, so story culture to me pissed me off because they're selling the course on a tool when what you really need is a strategy and learning how to put the strategy together using a variety of tools. And 90% of them have nothing to do with storytelling at all. So I got that off my chest. I'm going to cut this to micro content. I don't care who hears it. It's my coming out party. Taking a course on how to swing a hammer is just going to build your house. Am I right or wrong, Andy?
No, you're right. And it's also like, so I would put it like this as well. So, I mean, I studied philosophy, right? I read philosophy. And one of the things that it teaches you to do is to sort of, and I think this is why I wrote that post in the first place and called it out, because you see this sort of specious, sort of flawed reasoning all the time. And it always starts the same way. So flawed reasoning, if you want to spot flawed reasoning, one of the experts on this from a sort of semantic meaning perspective is Lewis Carroll, right? The book Alice in Wonderland. So there's that scene where Alice is with the Mad Hatter. And she says, I say what I mean and I mean what I say. And they say, oh, this is flawed. It's like saying, I see what I eat is I eat what I see. It doesn't mean the same thing, right? So you need to sort of take the argument that's being used and put it into another framework to really test it out. So you'll see something like this where, I'll give you an example. So you'll say, one of the best ways to reduce your cholesterol is to get up every morning and have a brisk walk. It starts your metabolism, therefore you start to burn, it speeds up metabolism for the day, therefore, you start to burn more food. Therefore, you need a very expensive course on how to walk briskly. No, you don't, because you've been doing it since you were 18 months old. So it's the same sort of thing, like use that same argument and look at the storytelling thing. People like stories, they're engaged psychologically, we listen to them, it increases the amount of oxytocin and cortisol in the bloodstream. Yes, okay, all true. Therefore, you need a very expensive course on how to do it. No, because it's like walking. You've got experience with it since you were a baby in arms. Like it's literally, the problem I've got with it isn't so much, look, you can learn that skill if you feel that you're useless at telling stories. If like you're telling stories, people are falling asleep, you may take some sort of course in how to improve those skills, or you may get a book. I mean, I would recommend Stephen King on writing. It's the best book you can read on writing fiction, bar none. It's phenomenal. Okay. I would recommend that. There's many others. If anyone wants a recommendation, hit me in the DMs and in LinkedIn. I'll give you a list of books you can read on storytelling. But ultimately, most people, what they really need to do is say to themselves, my experience as a human is valuable. So my experience, what I see is valuable. So I can just communicate this. Some people will like it, some people won't. And that's fine. But it doesn't, you don't need to make any substantial investment in how to do it. There's like, especially if you're sort of a struggling entrepreneur, and we've all been there. At the start of your business, you need to invest in the right things. And there are no magic bullets. That's the problem. So it's when this is presented as a magic bullet, I got an issue with it. You know, it's like back in the days you used to see these sort of...
no magic bullets.
There are no magic bullets, yeah.
In life.
No, yeah, anywhere. It's going to take a lot of time and a lot of hard work to get where you want to go.
The magic bullet is when you connect ideas.
Yeah.
When you're able to take random ideas and connect the dots, and then you form a strategy that you could use, whether you want to lose weight, whether you want to get more leads, whether you want to run a sales call. It is no magic bullet that helps you get your goal. It is the ability to say to yourself, I'm enough. I have enough. It's just about taking what you know and finding ways to connect what you intuitively already know. And if you don't know it, then go hire somebody. Obviously, but storytelling, we've been doing it since we were born.
Oh, like everything you see is a story, everything. Or you turn on the news, it's a story. Everything you see is a story. So it's like, just duplicate what you're seeing there. What you said there, I think is brilliant. It's one of the most brilliant things I've heard in ages. That we don't have any magic bullets, but what we have is magic connections. And it's exactly that, it's magical connections. Some things come together and you're like, holy shit, it was so simple. I just needed to put those two things together.
Magical connection.
Magical connections exist,
Look for magical connections in any enterprise or endeavor you want to take off. It's about connecting what you know with what you don't know. And then connecting more and you grow. That's why we like hiring coaches. But I honestly believe, storytelling coaches need to tell the truth. I'm teaching you how to swing a hammer. This hammer will not get you where you want to go. It will definitely help. You need to learn sales. You need to learn consumer psychology. You need to do, but this hammer, I'll teach you. After that, you need to go on and find other connections to use the hammer with. That's where I have a problem.
Sell it for what it is, right? So you could say to me, oh, well, how is what you're doing any different as the communication guy? Well, so for example, we sell audit report writing. We sell audit fieldwork conversation. We sell empowered presentation skills. We sell conflict resolution. So these are specific skills, very specific skills, and there are tools involved. And it's like, if you have a shortfall with that, so if, for example, you're spending a month on an audit trying to build relationships, right, only to write a report that nobody reads at the end of it, then it was a waste of time because you can't close those gaps. It's not your business. That's the whole point about auditing. You're independent of the business that you audit. So you have to persuade them. Well, if they're not reading the report, then they're not getting persuaded. You have to make them want to read the report. So that's all about that skill. If you have that problem, I'll help you solve it. But it isn't a sort of panacea for everything. I mean, it's like there are so many other things that you would need to do to be a successful auditor. It's just one of those things. So you sell it for what it is, fine. If you want to sell that specific niche thing, fine. Don't exaggerate its importance. Like if I start saying audit report writing, it's not just for auditors, it's for everyone. You can't make any money without it. It's like I can't believe that that's true, surely. Because it's clearly not. So I don't believe that you believe that's true. If you're sort of exaggerating the value of that, then I think that's where it becomes problematic for me. If somebody wants to learn the skill, fine, sell it. Why not? That's the marketplace. It is what it is, right?
That's why you don't see me. We're running out of time here, folks. We're going to have a part two. Part two is going to be fantastic. We're going to talk about how to argue better in the comments.
Oh, yeah, we should.
But let me finish this thought. That's why I don't tell people copywriting is king. It's not.
Yeah.
Copywriting is a part of a whole. You have shown me a post where I repeat that cliche that copywriting is up to you. Copy is king. No, it is not. Copy is part of a whole. You need strategy. You need content. You need copy. You need a home run offer. You need a product that works.
Yeah, there's so much to it, right?
You need so much to run an effective business. Then you need an overall strategy to make sure all of that works together symbiotically. So whenever
absolutely.
you hear a copywriter or storytelling coach, story is king, copy is king. No, it is not for. Go back at the end of the line and sit down and be quiet. Okay? So I got that up my chat. So
I always say
of our
this.
conversations coming up in a couple of weeks. I wanted Andy to help me become a better debater, if you will, because I'm getting a lot of debates in my comments, and a lot of them either attack me or they gaslight the entire industry, or they make up an argument about what's not really happening, or sometimes they falsely. They use a lot of tactics that they might not be aware of. Sometimes I get a little flustered, and I want to bring on the guy who knows how to do that.
Sure,
I think it will help everybody too. What do you think?
Absolutely. I mean, it's like you've got fallacies, they're called logical fallacies. So when people are using flawed reasoning to try and win the point, so how do you spot it? What is it? How do you fight back against it? It's very straightforward.
How do you counter argue it? Is it worth your time to do all of that? I think it is, because sometimes I think people are very passionate about their argument, and so when they see somebody counter, and it's not a logical counter, it's very emotional, you get really flustered. And you start questioning yourself. So I think Andy's the perfect person to bring on for round 2 to help us go through that. What do you think, man?
Oh, I'd love to. But I'll say that you said copy's not king, but I do call you the king of copy. So maybe copy's not king, but you're the king of copy. So we'll finish with that.
Thank you, man. I know you're a good fan, and I appreciate all your support.
Same.
I can't wait till we talk again.
Same here, mate. I'm looking forward to it.
Have a good one.
Take care, my friend.
Bye-bye.